This is a story about glue. Industrial-strength thermoset polymer glue applied with heat and pressure to the inside of a $1,000 wool jacket. Not in some back-alley fast-fashion warehouse. In Hugo Boss, in J Press, in Brooks Brothers, in every suit hanging on the front rack of every department store you have ever walked into. What you are looking at is fused suit construction, and it is the most consequential decision in men's suiting that no label is required to disclose. If you bought one of those suits in the last decade, the glue inside it is failing right now, whether you can see it yet or not. The suit industry has a name for what is about to happen to your jacket. They call it bubbling. It cannot be repaired. It cannot be reversed. The only fix is to throw the jacket away. And here is the worst part. The brand that sold it to you knew this would happen the day they shipped it to the store, because the entire system is built to make sure it does. This is how a $1,000 suit became a paperweight. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to spot the next one before you pay for it. Before you can spot a fused jacket, you have to understand what one actually is. So here is the autopsy. Take a suit jacket apart and you find 3 layers. There is the outer wool, the part you see. There is the inner lining, the thin satin against your shirt. And in between, hidden, doing the real work, there is a 3rd layer. The industry calls it the canvas. It is what makes a wool jacket actually look like a jacket and not a flat piece of fabric draped over your shoulders. For 200 years, that canvas was horsehair and wool stitched in by hand. A skilled tailor pinned it to the wool shell and put thousands of tiny stitches through both layers, attaching them but loosely so the canvas could float independently of the wool. That is the entire point. The canvas gives the jacket structure, and the wool gives the jacket movement. The space between them gives the jacket life. A canvas jacket breathes. It molds itself to whoever wears it, until the horsehair has memorized your posture. It drapes naturally across the chest instead of standing off it. After 50 wears, it actually looks better than it did the day you bought it. Then, in the 1950s, German garment manufacturers decided this was all too slow. The new system was a sheet of synthetic interlining coated in a heat-activated adhesive. Lay it inside the wool shell, press it under a heated machine, and the glue welds the 2 layers together permanently. No stitching, no skilled labor, no hours per lapel. The whole process in seconds. The trade-off was simple. You lose the float, you lose the drape, you lose the breathability, you lose the ability to mold to the body. What you gain is a jacket that can be assembled at scale by a worker with no tailoring background. For the suit industry, that trade-off has been worth roughly 70 years of cumulative margin. The numbers are not a guess. The suit industry publishes them. A skilled tailor, working by hand, can complete between 6 and 10 suit lapels in an 8-hour day. That is roughly 1 hour per lapel. A single jacket has 2 lapels, plus chest pieces, plus internal shoulder shaping, plus collar and cuff work. A full canvas jacket, padded entirely by hand, takes a Savile Row tailor close to 60 hours of labor. Now here is the same work done by machine. After the war ended, German engineering went to work on the problem. A firm called Strobel released a pad stitching machine that could automate the lapel shaping process. A trained operator running 2 of those machines simultaneously could complete 1,000 lapels per day. Not 6. 1,000. The same operation, sped up by a factor of 100. The fusing process, applied a few years later, eliminated the lapel work entirely. A heated press, 1 operator, 1 button. The interlining is bonded to the wool in seconds. So what does it actually cost to build a canvased suit today? According to multiple custom tailoring houses that openly publish their cost structures, A fully canvassed suit produced in a respected European factory outside Italy costs between $280 and $500 in construction before any fabric is added. The fabric runs another $250, and that is before you get into the grade of the wool itself. Whether you are talking about a Super 100s cloth or a Super 150s cloth changes the hand and the drape, but it does not change the fundamental construction question underneath it. A reasonable retail price for a fully canvassed suit with a fair tailor markup lands at roughly $2,000. Now compare that to a fused Hugo Boss suit at the mall, retailing at $1,000. Same fabric weight, comparable wool quality, wholesale construction cost, significantly lower. Here is the line that should make you angry. Tailors who build the suits openly admit it. Manufacturing costs between half-canvassed and fully canvassed suits are surprisingly similar when machine pad stitching is used. The price differences, in their own words, often reflect positioning strategy rather than actual production expenses. Read that sentence again. The brands are not charging more for canvassed suits because canvas costs that much more to put inside the jacket. They are charging more because they can, and the corollary is worse. The brands selling fused suits at $1,000 are not selling fused because fused is what fits inside that price point. They are selling fused at $1,000 because they figured out that you will pay it. So which brands are doing it? This is where the conversation gets uncomfortable because the answer includes nearly every name you have grown up trusting. Start with Hugo Boss. The standard Hugo Boss suit, the one you find on the rack at Bloomingdale's or at the Hugo Boss outlet for somewhere between $600 to $1,200, is fused. Hugo Boss does sell a higher line called Boss Selection. Selection is half canvassed, meaning canvas in the chest and shoulders, but fused in the lower panels. Selection is not what most Hugo Boss customers buy. The flagship product, the one moving through the mall every day, the one with the name everyone knows, is held together with adhesive. Move to J Press. This is a brand with 100 years of American Ivy heritage. Their suits retail north of $1,000, sometimes well north of it. Most of their product is fused. A suit with that much storytelling behind it, sold at that price point, is built using the cheapest interlining method available to mass production. Now Brooks Brothers. Their 1818 line, named after the year the company was founded, is the most recognized middle-tier American suit in retail history. It is fused. Even the version made in Italy is fused. The only Brooks Brothers suit that uses full canvas construction is the Golden Fleece line, which sits at the very top of their pricing, well above $2,000. Calvin Klein, DKNY, and the entry-level suits at any department store you can walk into are all fused. H&M, Zara, fast fashion suits in general are fused. None of this is surprising at the bottom of the market. What is surprising is the price point at which fused stops being a budget reality and starts being a profit decision. Here is the line you need to remember. Once you cross roughly $1,000 in retail, fused construction is no longer a cost-driven decision. It is a profit decision. The brand could put canvas inside that jacket and still hit the same retail price. They are choosing not to. Now look at who actually does it the right way. Samuelsohn, a Canadian house that has been making suits since 1923, sells full canvas, hand-finished construction starting at around $900. The same $900 buys you a fully fused suit at Hugo Boss. Suit Supply, often mentioned in conversations about affordable tailoring, is a different case. Their entry product is fused, though some of their upper lines use half canvas. Worth knowing before you treat them as a direct Samuelsohn alternative. Canali, Brioni, Chiton, Brunello Cucinelli, every one of them is full canvas. The Italian houses, whether they are working in the Milanese tradition, the Roman tradition, or the Neapolitan tailoring tradition coming out of Naples, are still making suits the way they always have. The soft-shouldered, hand-stitched construction that defines Neapolitan tailoring in particular is about as far from a fusing press as it is possible to get in commercial production. The American and European mass-market brands trading on the same aesthetic are not. Walk into any department store in America right now. There is a suit on one rack with a label saying $1,495. There is a different suit on a different rack in a different department with a label saying $995. The $1,495 suit is fused. The $995 suit is full canvas. Both labels say wool. Both labels say imported. Neither label tells you what is inside the chest panel. And the brand on the more expensive one is counting on the fact that you will assume the higher price means better construction. If you watch the video on this channel comparing Hugo Boss, Brioni, Tom Ford, and Ermenegildo Zegna, you already know how this story goes. 2 of those 4 brands are made in the same factory. The construction is the actual product. Everything else is a label. Here is the pattern in plain English. The most aggressive offenders are not the cheapest brands. The cheapest brands are honestly fused at honest prices. The aggressive offenders are the middle and upper tier brands charging full canvas prices for fused construction. The names you recognize, the names with the Italian-sounding labels, the names sitting at eye level in every department store you have ever walked into. That is the scam. Not that fused exists. Fused exists for good economic reasons. The scam is that fused is being sold at canvas prices, with the canvas marketing, by brands that figured out you do not know the difference and the label does not have to tell you. So how is this legal? How does a brand charge canvas prices for fused suits, label them as wool and tailored and imported, and not have to disclose what is actually inside the jacket? Because nobody made them. There is no garment regulation anywhere in the United States or the European Union that requires a suit manufacturer to disclose whether the interlining is canvassed or fused. Country of origin, yes. Fabric composition, yes. The actual construction method that determines whether the jacket falls apart in 3 years or molds to your body for 30 years, no. It gets worse. The salesman is not required to know either. In most retail environments, asking whether a suit is full canvas, half canvas, or fused gets you one of 3 reactions. They do not know. They tell you what they think you want to hear, or they actively lie. The word bespoke has been similarly hollowed out. It used to mean a suit cut from a unique paper pattern, built by hand by a single tailor over weeks. Today, it means whatever the brand wants it to mean. This is the same family of loophole this channel covered in the video on Italian suits made in Chinese factories. The label tells you nothing. The salesman tells you nothing. The price tells you nothing. But your hands can tell you everything. Pinch the front panel of the jacket near the second button. Try to wiggle the outer wool independently from the inner lining. If the fabric rolls easily between your fingers and you feel a third layer floating in the middle, that is canvas. If the fabric feels stiff, laminated like a single sheet of cardboard with no give, that is glue. Compare it to the sleeve, which is never canvassed. A canvassed chest panel feels different from a fused sleeve. A fused chest panel feels exactly the same. That is the only test that works, and it is the only test the suit industry does not want you to learn. There is one more thing the brands are not telling you. The glue inside your fused jacket has a shelf life. Synthetic adhesives, the heat-activated kind used to bond fusible interlining to wool, degrade, slowly at first, then all at once. The dry cleaning solvent that gets pumped through your jacket every few months breaks the chemical bond from the inside. The steam press at the end of the dry cleaning cycle, the one that gives your jacket that crisp showroom shape, weakens it further. Body heat, body moisture, repeated wearing, time itself. All of these attack the same adhesive layer. The jacket has no way to defend itself. Eventually, the wool detaches from the interlining in patches. When that happens, the surface of the jacket begins to ripple. Small blisters form on the chest panel. The lapels start to wave instead of laying flat. the chest stops looking like a chest and starts looking like a relief map. The industry has a clinical name for this. They call it bubbling, and they do not advertise it. Here is the part that should break you. Bubbling cannot be repaired. It cannot be steamed out. It cannot be pressed flat. Once the glue has separated from the wool, it stays separated. There is no professional dry cleaner anywhere in the world with the technology to rebond a fused jacket. The damage is permanent. A skilled tailor can technically rebuild a bubbled jacket by ripping out the entire fused interlining and replacing it with hand-stitched canvas. The cost of that operation is roughly the same as buying a new canvased suit, and the underlying wool that has been stretched and distorted by the failing adhesive may still bubble in adjacent areas. Some fused suits start bubbling within the first year of ownership. Some bubble in the store before they are ever sold, simply from being on a wooden hanger in a warm display window for too long. Now contrast that with the canvas suit. The horsehair canvas inside a hand-stitched jacket does the opposite. It conforms. Over 50 wears, the canvas warps to fit your shoulders, your chest, the way you hold your posture. The jacket gets better. It does not deteriorate. It accumulates you. That is the real difference between a $1,000 fused suit and a $1,000 canvased suit. One of them is depreciating from the moment you take it home. The other one is appreciating from the moment you put it on. So what do you actually do with this information? You start with the pinch test every time. Before you try on a jacket, before you look at the price tag, before the salesman starts talking, pinch the chest panel, wiggle the layers. If it feels stiff, you put it back and walk away. Do not negotiate. Do not buy on sale. A fused suit at 50% off is still a fused suit. If you want a canvased suit and you are not ready to spend $2,000, the answer for years has been Samuelsohn. Their full canvas suits, starting around $900 on sale, are the most honest entry into real suit construction available in North America. Above them, in roughly this order, are Canali, Hickey Freeman's full canvas line, Brooks Brothers Golden Fleece, Brioni, Keton. All of them publicly identify their construction method. None of them hide it. But more important than which brand you buy is the question of why this is happening right now. The luxury menswear industry is in the middle of a slow-motion exposure event. Loro Piana spent a year under Italian court supervision for the systematic exploitation of migrant workers in unregistered Lombardy workshops. The video on this channel about the $4,000 Loro Piana jacket made for $140 came directly from those court records. The video about the $5,000 suit that is a scam came from the same family of documents. The video about the Italian wool loophole that lets factory-made Chinese garments wear an Italian label came from the same legal cracks. The glue inside your jacket is part of the same story, the same industry, the same playbook, the same business model. The labels say craftsmanship. The factory floors say margin. The court records, when they finally surface, say everything you needed to know all along. A $1,000 suit used to mean something. It used to mean 60 hours of skilled labor, a layer of horsehair canvas, a piece of clothing that would outlive the man who bought it. Today, it means a polyester interlining glued to a wool shell, assembled in a few minutes, sold to you with the same speech your father heard. The glue is failing right now. The only question is whether yours has started to bubble.